Meta is facing $1.4 trillion in penalties from 4 states, alleging its platforms addict young users and mislead the public about safety ahead of its trial next month. Coming up, we're talking about that massive penalty where the AI is being used to abuse children online. For more, we're joined by Dr. Karen Sutherland from the University of the Sunshine Coast. Good to see you, of course. Meta, what if they lose this trial? Do they lose the whole company?
The cost of the actual company is 1.5 trillion. But if it goes through, I would say yes. They don't seem like they're very worried about the whole thing, though. They're saying that the figure's unsupported. There's never been any sort of precedent of this happening ever. And they're also saying there's no actually psychiatric definition for the social media addiction. So they're just saying, suing us for, you can't actually really claim that because there's no solid definition anyway.
Yeah, how bizarre. The question really has to be about who wins in this sort of scenario, right?
Absolutely. And what is that money going to actually do? So if they're getting that money from the platforms, and this isn't an isolated case, there are other social media platforms caught up in other cases similar to this, like TikTok and YouTube and Snap. Does the money go to the victims, to the kids who have been affected? Then what actually happens to the money? And I know with some of the lawsuits, so New Mexico, they managed to be awarded $375 million. The government there from Meta, the government made them to actually change the platform itself so then it's not so addictive for younger users. So it's going to be interesting to see what actually happens, whether they get that money, and then if any actual changes happen with the way that we use these platforms.
I'm interested in how Meta can rebuild its reputation here, because it's something that no doubt they are worried about, and there are some referring to the impact of smoking on young people and the bans that are happening there as well. So what do you think Meta actually should be doing?
It's a good question. And so many countries are now banning social media as well. So their PR isn't great right now. I guess they need to look at their practices and look at the research and then maybe work with the people being affected and make some of these changes. But I don't know if they want to admit any fault here. I know in the past, I know Zuckerberg has said that they could have done things differently, but it hasn't been a straight out admission of fault. So maybe actually being open about the fact that they do need to make changes. They do have parental controls and things like that, but it's clearly not enough. So maybe working with researchers to improve the platforms for everybody. But yeah, I don't know.
Well, that's my question there about that. So the repercussions for social media design and what Meta might do to make it so it isn't as addictive. But obviously for them, they want people using the app. And all of these platforms have been turning to video. You remember when everything was photos, and then they told creators, we want you to make video because it means people stay on the platform longer. I've spoken to YouTube who say the whole algorithm is about celebrating the content creators who keep people on the platform for longer.
Yeah, 100%. But I guess maybe they need to not focus so much on younger people and really look at people who are a bit older and can make better decisions. But it also comes down to the platforms are one thing, but parents have to be aware of what their kids are doing online as well. We need to educate the kids themselves around the dangers of being online. So yeah, I can't think it's really only the platform's responsibility to do things, but I think everyone needs to work together to try and come up with a better solution.
Is there a realisation in Australia, for example, that has brought in the under-16 social media ban, that it's impossible to get Meta to do what it is saying, that if you're going to have it for older people who can use a platform but younger people aren't, that's just not going to happen unless you ban it for younger people? And yet the US administration is pretty angry with Australia over the social media ban for under-16s, and I guess the continual push by the eSafety Commissioner over these safety questions, which the US believes is impacting young people while also impacting the tech companies as well. So what do you think happens here?
It's a good question. And the ban hasn't been overly successful. I mean, there are still younger people on the platforms. And it's not only Australia. I'm off to Azerbaijan tomorrow, and they're doing it there too. So they're asking me to speak on a panel about it happening there too, because Australia was the first. It's happening in the UK. It's happening around the world. But who will do it the most effectively, I think, remains to be seen. And I think it would be good for the people who are instilling this ban to actually come together in maybe a year or two, just to see what worked and what didn't and how effective it's actually been. It's too early to see any real impact and for research to be undertaken. But I think a longitudinal study on this would be really interesting, just to see how effective it was.
All right, now a new case study reveals that 1 in 25 Australian teens fallen victim to AI-assisted online sexual abuse, highlighting a significant shift in how young people confront and disclose the incidents. Talk to us about this, because a lot of victims are finding support. How can they find support? And how do they even know when it's so hard to tell with AI sometimes?
Yeah, this was an interesting study coming out of the University of Adelaide. The sample size was nearly 2,000 Australians aged between 16 and 18. So it was quite a significant size. And what they found is that there's at least one person in every Year 12 classroom who's been impacted in this way, where AI has been used to create non-consensual images, sexualized images, and naked images of them that are then shared around. So there was that. But what was really interesting was that not only are they being abused by AI tools, but then the people who have been victims are going to AI, and about 20% of them are going to AI first to share their experience and ask for support through AI chatbots, rather than going to the authorities or going to the police or telling a teacher about it. The good thing is, though, they are still largely going to their peers and to their parents, so that's good. But the fact that AI was in there as one of those people they go to, that safe space to share what's happened, is really quite interesting too. So there's lots of things going on there. And they found that while young women are being victimised online generally, it's actually the boys who are more likely to be victimised using AI tools. So in that similar way, using sexualized images and things like that. So yeah, it's just a very new study, and we're just starting to learn the impacts of the use of AI on our young people.
Yes, it's a Wild West at the moment, isn't it? And that question over whether current laws are adequate enough to combat this.
Yeah, there are laws there. There are safeguards there to try and prevent this, and there are penalties for generating sexualized AI images of people without their consent. There are laws around that, but it's more around how really strict are they and how effective are they, but also what's also happening to kids when they go to an AI chatbot with their problems, and what's the safeguard there. I think that's another thing we really need to consider.
And that question as well about what motivates abusers to use AI tools, is it just simply about constantly moving and trying to find whatever the next new thing is?
I think it's just very easy, and because they are looking very true to life, like they look very lifelike now, and it's hard to tell the difference. I think they're using it in a number of ways to shame people, but also to blackmail them into giving money and things of that nature. So there's a lot of motivation around it, depending on the situation. Some of the people who are doing this are known to their victims, but sometimes they're just people who are online seeking victims out and then blackmailing them in that way. So yeah, it depends on the situation.
All right, Dr. Karen Sutherland, always appreciate your insights on Ticker. Thank you.